Hello! We're excited to show you our native speech capabilities. Welcome back to the English journey. Today, we are talking about the most precious gift we have, our time. I'm Anna.
And I'm Abel. We all have the same 24 hours in a day, but some people change the world, while others just watch it pass by. Today, we want to help you take control of your clock.
That is so true, Abel. I was thinking about this topic all morning. Time is the only thing in this world that we can never buy back. Think about that for a moment. If you lose money, you can work and earn more money. If you lose your phone, you can buy a new phone. But if you lose 1 hour, that hour is gone forever. You can never get it back. Never.
That is a powerful way to start, Anna, and I think most people know this. Deep inside, we all know that time is precious. Precious means very valuable, very important. But even though we know this, we still waste so much of it. I know because I used to be one of those people. I wasted so many hours every single day, and I did not even realize it.
Really? You? I find that hard to believe because you are one of the most organized people I know now. What changed for you?
Well, thank you for saying that. But honestly, a few years ago, I was the opposite. I was not organized at all. I would wake up in the morning with no plan. I would pick up my phone before I even got out of bed. And then I would start scrolling. You know what scrolling means, right? It's when you move your finger up and down on your phone screen looking at social media posts, videos, news, and random things on the internet. I would scroll and scroll and scroll, and before I knew it, 1 hour was gone. Sometimes 2 hours, just like that.
That is something so many people can relate to. Relate to means they understand because they have the same experience. Scrolling is so easy to do because it does not feel like you're wasting time. Each video is only 15 seconds or 30 seconds or 1 minute, so your brain thinks, oh, this is just a small thing. But those small things add up very quickly.
Exactly. That is the trick. That is the trap. Each little video or post feels small and harmless. Harmless means it doesn't cause any damage. But when you add all those small moments together, you realize you have lost a huge part of your day. I read something that really shocked me. Some studies say that the average person spends more than 2 hours a day on social media. 2 hours. And some people spend even more than that.
2 hours a day. Let me do some quick math here. If you spend 2 hours a day on social media, that's 14 hours a week. That's about 60 hours a month. And in 1 year, that's more than 700 hours. 700 hours. Do you know what you could do with 700 hours? You could learn a new language. You could write a book. You could start a business. You could learn to play a musical instrument. You could do so many amazing things.
When you put it that way, it really makes you think, and that's why some people call social media and mindless scrolling the thief of time. A thief is a person who steals things, so the thief of time is something that steals your time without you noticing. And I think that's the most dangerous part. You don't notice it happening. It's not like someone comes to your house and takes your clock off the wall. No, it happens quietly, slowly, 1 minute at a time.
I love that expression, the thief of time. And I want to be clear about something. We are not saying that social media is bad. Social media can be wonderful. You can learn things, connect with friends, find inspiration. The problem is when we use it without a purpose, without intention, when we just scroll because we're bored or because we don't know what else to do. That's when it becomes a thief.
That is a very important point, Anna. It's about being intentional. Intentional means you do something on purpose, with a reason. So if you open your phone and say, I'm going to spend 10 minutes checking messages for my family, that's intentional. But if you open your phone and 30 minutes later you're watching a video about a cat riding a bicycle and you don't even know how you got there, that's not intentional. That's mindless scrolling.
A cat riding a bicycle? That does sound entertaining, I have to admit.
It is entertaining, and that's the problem. It's so entertaining that we forget about the things that really matter to us. Our goals, our dreams, our health, our relationships. These important things get pushed to the side because we're too busy watching cats on bicycles.
Okay, so now that we understand the problem, let's talk about solutions. Let's talk about what we can actually do to manage our time better. And the first idea I want to share is something called the big rocks concept. This is a very famous idea, and it's very simple to understand. Imagine you have a big glass jar. This jar represents your day. You have 24 hours, and that jar is your 24 hours. Now you also have some big rocks, some small stones, and some sand. The big rocks represent your most important tasks. These are your priorities. A priority is something that is more important than other things, something you should do first.
I love this concept. So the big rocks are things like your work, your health, spending time with your family, exercising, studying English, working on your personal goals. These are the things that truly matter in your life.
Exactly. And the small stones represent tasks that are somewhat important, but not as important as the big rocks. Things like answering emails, doing small errands, cleaning your desk. And then the sand represents the smallest, least important things. Things like scrolling through social media, watching random videos, reading gossip online. These are distractions. A distraction is something that takes your attention away from what you should be doing.
Okay, so here's the key question. What happens if you put the sand in the jar first?
Great question. If you put the sand in first, it fills up the bottom of the jar. Then you put the small stones in, and they fill up more space. And now when you try to put the big rocks in, they don't fit. There's no room for them. The jar is already full of sand and small stones.
And that's exactly what happens in real life when you start your day with distractions. If the first thing you do in the morning is check social media for an hour, then watch some videos, then read some random news articles, your jar is already filling up with sand. And when it's time to do the important things, you feel like you have no time. You feel tired. You feel overwhelmed. Overwhelmed means you feel like everything is too much.
But here's the beautiful part. If you put the big rocks in the jar first, something magical happens. You put the big rocks in, and yes, they take up a lot of space, but then you add the small stones, and they fall into the gaps between the big rocks. And then you pour the sand in, and the sand fills the tiny spaces between the stones and the rocks. Everything fits.
That is amazing. So the lesson is simple. Do your most important tasks first. Start your day with your priorities. Put the big rocks in your jar before anything else, and you'll find that there's still time for the smaller things. There's still time for a little bit of social media, a little bit of fun, but the important things are already done.
I try to do this every morning. Before I check my phone, before I look at any messages, I spend time on my most important task. Some mornings, that's exercise. Some mornings, that's working on a project. But I always start with a big rock, never with sand.
That is a great habit, Anna. And speaking of habits, I want to talk about another technique that really helped me stop wasting time. It's called the pomodoro technique. Has anyone listening ever heard of this? Pomodoro is an Italian word. It means tomato. And the reason it's called the tomato technique is because the person who invented it used a kitchen timer that was shaped like a tomato.
I love that story. So, how does the Pomodoro technique work? It's very simple. You choose one task that you want to work on, just one task, then you set a timer for 25 minutes. During those 25 minutes, you focus on only that task. You don't check your phone, you don't answer messages, you don't get up to make coffee, you just work on that one thing for 25 minutes.
And then, when the timer goes off after 25 minutes, you stop. You take a short break. The break is usually 5 minutes. During those 5 minutes, you can stretch, get some water, look out the window, take a few deep breaths. You let your brain rest. And then, after 5 minutes, you start another 25-minute session. You can do this 3 or 4 times, and after the 4th session, you take a longer break of about 15 or 20 minutes.
This technique is so effective. Effective means it works well. And the reason it works is because 25 minutes is not a long time. When you tell your brain, I only need to focus for 25 minutes, your brain says, okay, I can do that. It doesn't feel overwhelming. But if you tell your brain, I need to study for 3 hours without stopping, your brain says, no thank you, that's too much.
I started using this technique about 2 years ago, and it changed my productivity completely. Productivity means how much useful work you can do. Before, I would sit at my desk for hours and feel like I did nothing. I was at my desk, but I wasn't really working. I was distracted. I was checking my phone every few minutes. I was thinking about other things. But with the Pomodoro technique, those 25 minutes are pure focus, and I'm amazed at how much I can accomplish in just 25 minutes of real focused work.
That is a wonderful point. It's not about how many hours you sit at your desk. It's about how focused you are during those hours. You can do more in 1 hour of focused work than in 3 hours of distracted work. Quality is more important than quantity when it comes to time.
Absolutely. And you know what? This connects to another topic I think we should talk about: learning to say no. This is something that many people struggle with. Struggle means to have difficulty with something. Many people find it very hard to say no when someone asks them to do something.
Oh, this is such an important topic, Abel. Let me explain what we mean. Imagine you have planned your day. You know what your big rocks are, you are ready to work on your important tasks, and then a friend calls you and says, "Hey, can you help me move some furniture today?" Or a coworker says, "Can you do this extra project for me?" Or someone invites you to a long lunch that you did not plan for. What do you do?
Well, most people say yes. They say yes because they want to be nice. They say yes because they feel guilty saying no. Guilty means you feel bad about something, like you did something wrong. They do not want to disappoint other people. Disappoint means to make someone feel sad because you did not do what they hoped. So they say yes, and then they lose time for their own priorities.
And here is what I want everyone to understand. Saying no is not selfish. Selfish means you only care about yourself. But protecting your time is not selfish. It is a form of self-respect. Self-respect means you value yourself and your goals. When you say no to something that is not important, you are saying yes to something that is important. You are saying yes to your dreams, your goals, and your well-being.
That is beautifully said, Anna. I used to say yes to everything, every invitation, every request, every favor. And I was always busy, but I was not making progress on my own goals. I was helping everyone else build their dreams, while my dreams were sitting in a corner waiting. One day I realized that my time is my responsibility. It is my job to protect it.
And let me add something important. You can say no in a kind and respectful way. You do not have to be rude. You can say, "I would love to help, but I have something important I need to finish today. Can we do it another time?" Or you can say, "Thank you for the invitation, but I already have plans." You can be polite and still protect your time.
That is true. It's all about how you say it. And most people will understand. Most people will respect you for being honest. Now, Anna, I want to connect all of this to our listeners who are learning English, because I know many of the people who listen to this podcast are learning English, and they often feel like they do not have enough time to study.
Yes, this is so important. And here's what I want to tell everyone who is learning English right now. You do not need 5 hours a day to improve your English. You do not need to sit in a classroom for a whole afternoon. What you need is consistency. Consistency means doing something regularly, again and again over a long period of time. And I want to share a concept I call the power of 15 minutes.
The power of 15 minutes. I like that. Tell us more.
It's simple. If you study English for just 15 minutes every single day, do you know how much time that is in 1 year? Let me calculate. 15 minutes times 365 days, that's 5,475 minutes. Divide that by 60 and you get about 91 hours. 91 hours of English practice in 1 year, just from 15 minutes a day.
91 hours. That's incredible. And compare that to someone who studies for 5 hours once a month. 5 hours times 12 months is only 60 hours in a whole year. So the person who studies 15 minutes every day gets more practice than the person who studies 5 hours once a month.
Exactly. And there's another reason why 15 minutes every day is better. When you study a little bit every day, your brain has time to process the information.
Process means your brain works on the information, organizes it, and stores it in your memory. When you sleep at night, your brain reviews what you learned during the day. So if you study every day, your brain is constantly reviewing and strengthening your English.
But if you study for 5 hours once a month, your brain gets too much information at one time. It's like trying to drink water from a fire hose. There's too much water and you cannot drink it all. Most of the information goes in and then comes right back out. You forget most of it before the next study session.
That is a perfect example, Abel. So for everyone listening right now, here is my advice. Find 15 minutes in your day for English. Listen to this podcast while you're walking to work. Read a short article in English before you eat breakfast. Watch a short video in English before you go to bed. Write 3 sentences in English in a journal. These small actions done every day will transform your English over time. Transform means to change completely, to make something very different and much better.
And this connects perfectly to our next point, which is doing a daily time audit. An audit is when you check something carefully to see if it's correct or to find problems. A time audit means you check how you spend your time to see where your hours actually go. Anna, can you explain how to do a time audit?
Of course, a time audit is one of the most eye-opening exercises you can do. Eye-opening means it surprises you and makes you see things differently. Here is how you do it. For one whole day, or even better, for one whole week, you write down everything you do and how long you spend doing it. Everything, from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep.
And when I say everything, I mean everything. Write down that you spent 20 minutes eating breakfast. Write down that you spent 15 minutes in the shower. Write down that you spent 45 minutes scrolling on your phone. Write down that you spent 30 minutes watching television. Write down every single thing.
And at the end of the day, or at the end of the week, you look at your list, and I promise you, you will be surprised. Most people are shocked when they see how much time they spend on things that are not important. They might discover that they spend 3 hours a day on their phone. They might discover that they watch 2 hours of television every evening. They might discover that they spend a long time doing tasks that could be done much faster.
When I did my first time audit, I was shocked. I discovered that I was spending almost 3 hours a day on my phone doing things that were not productive. 3 hours? That's 21 hours a week. That's almost like having a part-time job where I just scroll through social media. When I saw that number, I knew I had to make a change.
And the beautiful thing about a time audit is that once you see where your time is going, you can make better decisions. You can look at your list and ask yourself, which of these activities are helping me reach my goals? Which of these activities are making me healthier, smarter, happier, or more successful? And which of these activities are just filling time without any real benefit? A benefit is something good that you get from an activity.
And then you can start to make changes. Maybe you decide to reduce your social media time from 3 hours to 1 hour. That gives you 2 extra hours every day. 2 extra hours. What could you do with 2 extra hours? You could exercise. You could read a book. You could study English. You could work on a side project. You could spend quality time with your family. The possibilities are endless.
I want to share something that really inspires me. There is a saying that goes, "You will never find time for anything. If you want time, you must make it." And I think that is so true. We often say, "I do not have time." But the truth is, we all have the same 24 hours. The difference is in how we choose to use them. When someone says, "I do not have time to exercise," what they usually mean is, exercise is not my priority right now. And that is okay, but it's important to be honest with yourself about it.
That is such an honest and important point. When we say, "I do not have time," we are often making an excuse. An excuse is a reason you give to explain why you did not do something, and it is usually not the real reason. The real reason is usually that we chose to spend our time on something else. And again, that's okay. We all have the right to choose how we spend our time, but we should be aware of our choices. Aware means you know about something, you notice it.
Exactly. And once you become aware of your choices, you can start making different ones. You can start being more intentional with your time. Remember that word we used earlier, intentional? It means doing things on purpose, with a clear reason.
You know, Anna, I think one of the biggest changes in my life came when I started planning my day the night before. Every evening, before I go to bed, I spend about 10 minutes writing down what I want to accomplish the next day. I write down my 3 most important tasks. Just 3, not 10, not 20, just 3 big rocks. And when I wake up in the morning, I already know what I need to do. I do not waste time wondering, what should I do today?
That is an excellent habit. And I want to add one more thing, a schedule. A schedule is a plan that shows when you will do each task. Having a schedule does not mean your day has to be rigid. Rigid means stiff, with no flexibility. Your schedule can be flexible, but having a general plan for your day helps you stay focused and avoid distractions. Focus means giving all your attention to one thing. When you have a schedule, you know that from 9 to 10 in the morning, you are working on your most important project. And if someone tries to interrupt you during that time, you can politely say, "I'm busy right now. Can we talk later?" An interruption is when someone or something stops you from what you are doing.
And here's something else that helps me. I try to do my most difficult and important work early in the morning. Why? Because in the morning, my brain is fresh and full of energy. I haven't used my willpower yet. Willpower is your ability to control yourself and make good decisions. As the day goes on, your willpower gets weaker. You get tired, you get hungry, you get distracted more easily. So I do the hard things first when I'm at my best.
That is what some people call eating the frog. There is a famous quote that says, "If you have to eat a frog, do it first thing in the morning, and nothing worse will happen to you for the rest of the day." Of course, you're not really eating a frog. The frog represents the task you least want to do, the most difficult or unpleasant task. If you do that task first, everything else in your day feels easier.
I love that expression, eat the frog. It sounds funny, but it's true. When I finish my hardest task early in the morning, I feel a sense of accomplishment for the rest of the day. Accomplishment means you feel proud because you finished something difficult, and that feeling of accomplishment gives me energy and motivation to keep going.
Abel, we have covered so many important ideas today. Let me see if I can summarize what we have talked about. Summarize means to give a short version of the main points. First, we talked about how time is our most precious resource and how we can never get it back once it's gone.
Second, we talked about the thief of time, which is mindless scrolling and social media. We talked about how those small moments of scrolling add up to hundreds of hours every year.
Third, we explained the big rocks concept. Put your most important tasks in your jar first before the sand and small stones fill it up. Always start with your priorities.
Fourth, we discussed the pomodoro technique. Work for 25 minutes with complete focus, then take a 5-minute break. This keeps your brain fresh and helps you be more productive.
Fifth, we talked about learning to say no. Protecting your time is not selfish, it's self-respect. You can say no in a kind and polite way.
Sixth, we connected time management with learning English with the power of 15 minutes. 15 minutes of English every day is better than 5 hours once a month. Consistency beats intensity every time.
And seventh, we talked about doing a daily time audit. Check where your hours actually go so you can find time for your dreams and goals.
And I want to add one more thing before we finish, setting a deadline. A deadline is a specific date or time when something must be finished. When you give yourself a deadline, you work harder and faster because you know you have a limited amount of time. Without a deadline, tasks can go on forever because there's no urgency. Urgency means something needs to be done soon.
That is a great addition, Abel. Deadlines create a healthy pressure that helps us focus and finish things. Even if it is a personal deadline that only you know about, it still works. Tell yourself, "I will finish this report by Friday at noon." Or tell yourself, "I will study English vocabulary for 15 minutes before dinner." These small deadlines keep you on track. On track means you are moving in the right direction toward your goal.
Now, I want to end today's episode with a message that comes from my heart. Every single day, you wake up with a gift. That gift is 24 hours. 24 fresh, new, clean hours. What you do with those hours is your choice. Nobody can make that choice for you. You can spend those hours building something meaningful. You can spend them learning, growing, connecting with people you love, and working toward your dreams. Or you can let those hours slip away without even noticing.
And I want to add this. It is never too late to start managing your time better. Maybe you feel like you have wasted a lot of time in the past. That is okay. We all have. The past is gone and we cannot change it. But today, right now, in this moment, you can make a new decision. You can decide that from today, you will be more intentional with your time. You will protect your hours. You will put your big rocks first. You will be consistent with your goals. And you will live with purpose and intention.
Living with intention. I think that is the most important phrase from today's entire episode. It means living your life on purpose, making conscious choices about how you spend your time, and not just letting life happen to you. When you live with intention, every hour counts. Every day has meaning. And at the end of the year, you look back and feel proud of what you have accomplished.
And remember, you do not have to be perfect. Nobody manages their time perfectly every single day. There will be days when you scroll too much. There will be days when you do not follow your schedule. There will be days when you eat the sand before the big rocks. And that is okay. What matters is that you keep trying. What matters is that most of your days are intentional and productive.
I completely agree. Progress, not perfection. That should be our motto. A motto is a short phrase that expresses your belief or goal. Progress, not perfection. Every small step forward is a victory.
So here's our challenge for you, our listeners. This week, try one thing from today's episode. Just one. Maybe try the pomodoro technique. Set a timer for 25 minutes and focus on one task. Or maybe do a time audit for one day. Write down everything you do and see where your time goes. Or maybe just commit to 15 minutes of English study every day this week. Just one small change can start a big transformation in your life.
And if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend who might need to hear this message. Sometimes we all need a gentle reminder that our time is valuable and that we have the power to use it wisely.
Thank you so much for spending your time with us today. And I mean that sincerely. You chose to spend these minutes listening to us, learning English, and thinking about how to improve your life. That is a beautiful choice, and we are grateful for it.
We are so grateful. Thank you for being part of the English journey. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep making every hour count. We will see you in the next episode.
Goodbye, everyone. Take care of your time, because your time is your life. See you next time.
Bye-bye, everyone. Remember, you have the power to change your life, 1 hour at a time. See you soon.